Meantime, I want to shift over to the other news we got this morning on the unemployment front. Initial jobless claims coming in higher than expected. Back-to-back consecutive weeks, we've seen that, hitting the highest number of Americans filing for unemployment insurance in about a month's time. So joining us for more on that to break it all down, I want to bring on our next guest, Craig Birk, his Personal Capital Chief Investment Officer. And Craig, thanks for taking the time to chat today, man. I mean, I guess this would kind of seem to indicate some of the shakiness we're still dealing with in this recovery, why Democrats continue to push for a larger stimulus or relief package. What do you make of the numbers we got and what it says about where we are in this recovery?
I mean, the trend, for several months now has been that the economic news is good one day and bad the next day. And so I think it's important not to get too caught up in the day-to-day, but look at the trend overall. And it is fairly clear that the economy is ready to bounce back and people are ready to go out and participate, assuming that the trends in the pandemic are good. So that all remains in place. Of course, from a market perspective, there's been the bad news is good news with, thinking that if jobless claims remain high, we'll get more stimulus. And we'll just have to see how that works out through Washington.
I want to get back to the conversation we were having earlier with the guest before you about, how we should be looking at this Reddit phenomenon, if you want to call it that, in the context of the markets. That was interesting in your notes. You say that Robinhood may be having a stressful time, but you expect it to be a winner in all of this. What do you mean specifically?
Well, I mean, Robinhood went from something no one had really heard of a couple of years ago to now here we are, all talking about it's the lead story in the markets today. So, one way or another, they are signing up massive numbers of users. And some of those folks are going to have a bad experience, but some of them are going to stick around and stay on that platform. So it's a little bit of the all publicity is good publicity to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the strange phenomenons we've seen there. A lot of outrage, but they continue to talk about users staying on the platform. When we look at maybe some of the volatility it may have caused, we saw the VIX spike in all of the questions around that retail trade. What does maybe that do to the overall market direction and where we sit right now in 2021? If you can have that kind of, retail investor enthusiasm create such problems market-wide. I know we focused in on individual securities there in GameStop, AMC, and some other names, but it seemed to create a little bit of risk premium across the market. How do you see that playing out this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're a long-term investor and you're diversified and all of that, you just don't really need to worry about it. The fundamental nature of the markets hasn't changed. But I think we have to acknowledge the reality that, social media is a powerful force in many different things. And it also has impact on the markets. And in this case, we saw it disrupt, small companies, but nevertheless in a way that we hadn't seen before. And that did cause people to take a second look and reassess and cause some nervousness. So, it's going to be a story that'll play out over time. And we'll see how, if the trend continues where more and more retail investors move at one time, it could have bigger impacts and hit bigger parts of the market.
Yeah, we will all be watching, of course, when that hearing kicks off at noon live. We will have a live stream for you here on Yahoo Finance as well. Craig Birk, Personal Capital Chief Investment Officer. It's good to talk to you today.